We are back with another rookie mock draft, and again, we are drafting using a real Dynasty team from a member of this channel. So for today's draft, we're going to be looking at Aaron's team, who's in a 10-team Start 9 Superflex League with half PPR scoring and an extra half PPR tight end premium. And the roster that Aaron has is Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, Jordan Love, and Jimmy G at quarterback, Travis Etienne, and a bunch of backups at the running back position, Garrett Wilson, Hollywood Brown, and Deontay Johnson, and then a bunch of backups for receivers, and then Evan Ingram and some dart throws at the tight end position. So taking a look at the picks that he has this year, he has the 103, the 106, the 109, a couple seconds, a few thirds, and then a fourth and a fifth. So Aaron's got a pretty solid, middle of the pack team, and it's going to be our job today to add some firepower to push him towards contention in 2023 and beyond with all of these picks that he has. So let's get things started. Let's get going here. I'll hit start on the draft board. First two picks, I feel like this is kind of pretty chalk right now. Bijan Robinson and then Anthony Richardson goes at the 1.02 as the first quarterback off the board. And I think this is going to be how your draft actually goes, Aaron. But if Anthony Richardson is there at the 1.03, I'd be taking Anthony Richardson. But here, since Richardson and Bijan are both gone, I think it's pretty easy just to take Bryce Young. I would be taking any of the three quarterbacks over Jahmyr Gibbs. That's just me personally, but I would definitely be taking Bryce Young over Jahmyr Gibbs. And I feel like that's also kind of consensus at this point, that it goes Bijan, Richardson, Young, and then the decision between Gibbs and Stroud for 4 and 5. But I'm going to be taking Bryce Young here at 1.03 to give you another quarterback with some upside. I know that you don't necessarily have upside with Carr. I don't think you have upside with Love. Don't have upside with Jimmy G. Bryce Young can be a really, really good quarterback 2. You don't need him to be a QB2 right now, but I think he can start off as a really good QB2 with the potential down the road to be a QB1, like a back end QB1, like a Dak Prescott, another Deshaun Watson maybe. That kind of a quarterback, I think, is in his range of outcomes that you don't have with the other quarterbacks on your team right now. And plus, it just fits with the value and with the draft spot that you have. So Bryce Young, 1.03. And as I said, 1.04, 1.05, that's the decision basically between Gibbs and Stroud. So in this example, in this mock draft, it went Jahmyr Gibbs and CJ Stroud. So we're up again at the 1.06, and I think there's only really one answer here. I think you have to take Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I think he's still the clear-cut wide receiver 1. I know that he landed in a not-so-favorable landing spot, I think, initially because of DK Metcalf, because of Tyler Lockett. But I think this is just a fantastic situation for him long-term. Tyler Lockett can be cut next year for about $10 million dead cap that the Seahawks can save. So he could be the wide receiver 2 as early as next year. And that's not even mentioning the fact that what if JSN is the best wide receiver on this team? I mean, we talk about how he was better than Garrett Wilson and better than Chris Olave, and both of those wide receivers did fantastic on their respective teams. What if JSN is just a better wide receiver than DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett right now and just becomes the wide receiver 1 on the team by the end of the year? I think that's well within the range of outcomes here that we're kind of not really talking about for JSN. So I'm totally happy taking him at the 1.06. If you end up getting Stroud or Jahmyr Gibbs, I would take both of them over JSN at 1.06 if somebody else were to sneak in there, or if JSN was to be taken a top 5, which I haven't necessarily seen yet, at all, basically. But if Gibbs or Stroud are there too, I'm totally fine taking one of them at the 1.06 as well. So we're up again at the 1.09, and I think this is really where the first decision kind of has to be made for a lot of people. I feel like the first 8 picks in terms of the players that go in the top 8 are pretty chalk, and the 1.09 is kind of where the draft kind of opens up. To me, I think there's a decision between 2 players, Dalton Kincaid and Zay Flowers. I feel like other people might throw Devon Achane into there because of the landing spot. Some people might throw Will Levis in there in a Superflex league because he has opportunity to be the Titans' starting quarterback if they were to move on from Tannehill either this year or next year or whenever. For this scenario, and just for me in general, the decision is going to be between Dalton Kincaid and Zay Flowers, both first-round pass catchers. And I think just given the landing spots for both of them, given the team need that you have, I know never really to say just go and pick players based on team need, but when you're deciding between 2 players who both seem like they're very, very good, both are the best players available on the board, I think draft capital, landing spot, and team need are very good tiebreakers in those instances to help make you decisions. And to me, at the 1.09, I would be taking Dalton Kincaid here over Zay Flowers because right now your only tight ends are Evan Ingram, Juwan Johnson. It's just a bunch of dart throws at this point. I don't know if Evan Ingram for half the year last year wasn't even really that good. He just had a really, really good elite final 4 or 5 games. The other 11, 10, 11 games weren't necessarily that good. He had some moments in there, but it wasn't like a fantastic season for Evan Ingram, even though he did finish top 10. That's just kind of how easy it is to finish top 10 at the tight end position. But I think Dalton Kincaid has the upside of being a true difference-making tight end, of being a Travis Kelce, of being a Jimmy Graham, being a what we expect Kyle Pitts and hope that Kyle Pitts can get to. I think Dalton Kincaid can definitely have that in his range of outcomes, and I would be taking him here at the 1.09, especially because of the need that you have in terms of your other tight ends. The wide receivers that you have are already really great, and then you just added JSN to that. It's not necessarily a very needy position on your roster right now. So I'll take Dalton Kincaid at the 1.09. And of course, Zay Flowers goes 110. Devon Achane goes 209. Zach Charbonnet up at the 202. And then we're up again at the 2.03. Will Levis is still on the board. I don't think Will Levis would be a bad pick, just to give you a home run swing. And again, he has upside that Jimmy G and Derek Carr and Jordan Love, I don't think that they have. Will Levis has that upside, but the probability that he gets to that upside, I think, is just really, really low and may not necessarily be the best pick. Other players that you could be looking at here are Kendre Miller. You got Rashee Rice, another tight end in terms of Michael Mayer or Sam Laporta, Jonathan Mingo, Roschon Johnson. There's a bunch of players that you could take here at the 2.03. But in terms of who I would be taking in this exact situation right now with how the draft board is shaken out, I would be taking Kendre Miller. I really, really like Kendre Miller. He was my RB3 currently right now. I think he's in a tier with Devon Achane and Zach Charbonnet, so I'm definitely okay with you guys having whoever you prefer of those three. To me, I had Kendre Miller the highest out of all of them. Well, I had Charbonnet the highest, then Kendre Miller, then Devon Achane, and then the landing spot basically flip-flopped Kendre Miller and Zach Charbonnet. Achane is still behind them as well too. But I really, really like Kendre Miller with the New Orleans Saints. I think that he has a fantastic opportunity to be the starting running back this year, or at least the 1B with Alvin Kamara. I think he can be the starting running back when Alvin Kamara gets suspended. I'm assuming that that's going to happen. I think that he's better than Jamal Williams. And Jamal Williams also, he had a fantastic season last year, but he's currently 28 years old, or will be turning 28 years old. His contract is kind of nice. It's a 3-year deal, but it's really only a 2-year deal. 28 and 29 years old for Jamal Williams. I think Kendre Miller is better than Jamal Williams. I think he has the opportunity to showcase that he is better than Jamal Williams and then be the guy, the 1B or the 1A when Alvin Kamara is suspended on this New Orleans Saints team as early as this year. So I really, really like the landing spot for Miller. I like that he's there at the 2.03, and I would be drafting him there all day, every day in this situation. Vice versa, if Kendre Miller got taken and Zach Charbonnet is there, I would take Zach Charbonnet. If Miller and Charbonnet were taken and Achane's there, I'm taking Devon Achane. Basically, if any of those three, whichever of those three running backs are there, or Zay Flowers, I'll throw him in too. If any of those 4 players are there at the 2.03, I'm taking them. So we're up again at the 2.09, and basically exactly what I hoped would happen did happen. Jonathan Mingo went, both quarterbacks went, both tight ends went, and we're staring down probably my favorite later round wide receiver in Rashee Rice. I love Rashee Rice in terms of the profile that he has. I get that he's coming out of SMU. He's a really raw talent, but just the upside that he possesses, I think, is exactly the same as Jonathan Mingo. And actually, Rice's production profile is a lot better than Jonathan Mingo's. They both got second-round draft capital. Rashee Rice ended up going to the Kansas City Chiefs, so he's paired with Patrick Mahomes. I just feel like everything points towards Rice having basically a better, or at least a similar upside shot of hitting as Jonathan Mingo in terms of depth chart, quarterback, draft capital, all that kind of stuff. So I love the discount on Rashee Rice, a 4-pick discount on him than Jonathan Mingo. I think if you're deciding between the two, that's really kind of your preference. I feel like ADP and most people would tell you to go Mingo, but I just love if you can fade Mingo there and just get Rashee Rice at the 2.09. I absolutely love that. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I ended up doing here. So we're up again at the 3.03 now. We have 2/3, a fourth, and then a fifth. Jayden Reed actually ended up falling to us here, so I'm going to take Jayden Reed. I think Marvin Mims is another good pick here, but I just feel like Jayden Reed has the immediate opportunity to make a mark on this Green Bay Packers team versus Marvin Mims. I know Marvin Mims could also be in a really good situation with Denver, kind of become Russell Wilson's new Tyler Lockett. That's kind of the skill set that he possesses. But I think that there's a few more hurdles in terms of Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, of course, but Jayden Reed doesn't necessarily have that. I think that he could be the wide receiver 2 on the team ahead of Romeo Doubs. I think that he'll be a fantastic fit and have his own role in this offense and be really, really good off the rip, or at least have the potential to be really good off the rip that Marvin Mims doesn't necessarily have. But we do also have the 3.04. I guess if instead of making the decision between the two, why not just take both of them? You get both second round wide receivers in Jayden Reed and Marvin Mims. So I think that's pretty easy right there. I'm also really good with Josh Downs. If Mims or Reed get taken ahead of them, you get Josh Downs there. I really like that. I think you can throw in Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman. There's a lot of names that you could throw in here in all of this. And I think that would be a good opportunity, because again, this is a 10-team league. So 10 teams, this is basically like the back end of the second round in a normal 12-team Superflex is where we're kind of picking right in here. So then, of course, that opens us up at 3.07 to take my guy, Chase Brown. Chase Brown is like my auto third-round pick, but again, this is 10 teams. So this is basically like an early third in a 10-team league, and I absolutely love the value on getting Chase Brown there. I think that he has amazing potential to be the 1B in the Cincinnati Bengals offense, to be a direct handcuff to Joe Mixon, to be able to take over in case Joe Mixon gets arrested, suspended, injured. If Joe Mixon were to miss any time whatsoever, Chase Brown is going to be a smash play during those weeks as like an RB2 floor with RB1 upside because of the offense that he's in. And I think that Chase Brown is just that talented. So I love Chase Brown there at the 3.07. This is basically almost like an ideal draft, I think, for me, for this whole entire draft board. So 4.03, Zach Evans, Sean Tucker. You got Darnell Washington down here. Tank Dell, Tucker Kraft is in there as well. A bunch of other, Evan Hull. You know, there's just a bunch of dart throws really at this point. I will take Zach Evans just as a handcuff to Cam Akers. Again, these late rounds, I'm really just targeting running backs, players that have the opportunity to be, you know, just handcuffs. And if the starter gets hurt, they have the opportunity to take over during those weeks. That's exactly why I love Chase Brown. I think that he's just the most premier example of that in this class. Zach Evans fits that. Abana Kanda fits that. Eric Gray fits that, who got taken at the 502. I think Sean Tucker can potentially fit that, or even have more upside as the 1B on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if his health concerns are kind of away, and he is actually as talented as I think he is. I think he'll ascend that depth chart very, very quickly. That's why I just love taking these running backs. And again, here at the 5.03, I'm taking another running back. I'm taking Evan Hull. I would take him over Dwayne McBride, although I do really, really like Dwayne McBride as well. No other real players that I'm kind of interested at this point. I feel like a lot of these wide receivers, you can make an argument for all of them. I just don't really like taking wide receivers in the third and the fourth round, fourth and fifth round now, I guess. So I'll take Evan Hull, who can have the Nyheim Hines role. So I'm taking Evan Hull, who can have the opportunity to have the Nyheim Hines role in Indianapolis, or maybe like what it was kind of last year with Deion Jackson, where Deion Jackson got kind of the receiving work. And then when Jonathan Taylor was out, Deion Jackson got a larger majority work of the rushing down volume. So I think Evan Hull fits nicely into that Colts offense for the skill set that he possesses as a primary passing downs back, but then also could be a really, really good rusher too if Jonathan Taylor were to get hurt. So this is how the draft board shook out and the players that we selected with all of these picks. So Aaron, I hope that this video helped you understand my process on these picks with the team that you have. And I think if things swing your way, you can absolutely be a big time contender, not only in 2023, but also moving forward 2024, 2025, and on. So thank you for offering up your team for this exercise and also supporting this channel. Justin and I are very, very appreciative of that. And everybody else watching, I will be doing more of these videos throughout the month of May, but I will only be making videos for people who are members of the channel. So if you want to be in a video, click the link in the description down below, become a member, and get access to extra content every single month from Justin and I, and help support what we're doing here. Plus having the opportunity to have a video done just like this for your roster and your league. But I appreciate y'all watching, and if you'd like to check out this same style of mock draft, but in a one quarterback league, then check out this video right up here.